Hi, welcome everyone. Welcome, Mr. Gürkan. Welcome, Mr. Bernard. I hope you can hear me very well.
Yeah.
Welcome, Mr. Ulash.
Hello.
Hello. Yes, today it's a great honor for us to be in front of you. CPO Turkey and the TUSMOD brings together all procurement and supply chain professionals in Turkey and also in the region. And also a great thanks to Mr. Gürkan HÜRYILMAZ, who is the president of the TUSMOD. And he created a great leadership for the all CPOs in Turkey. And as Expo Turk, the organization team, we signed a powerful and a wonderful event for procurement industry. Yes, Mr. Gürkan, now the scene is yours.
Thank you. Firstly, welcome to all speakers. Thanks for you as well to participate the CPO Summit 2021. So today we have three valuable speakers. Firstly, I want to introduce Mr. Bernard GRACIA, Dean and Director of European Institute of Purchasing Management. Bernard, you are working there for 30 years or more, maybe. Could you please introduce yourself about your activities at EIPM?
Yeah, thanks very much, Gürkan. I'm Bernard GRACIA. I'm president of the EIPM, which is now 30 years old. And I've been participating to the creation of this EIPM, and I'm leading this EIPM.
Thank you for that. And secondly, Mr. Iain Campbell McKenna from Sourcing Salt. Iain is there since 2009. If I'm wrong, could you please correct me? Iain, could you please introduce yourself a little bit? We are curious about it.
Of course, tonight and everybody, and hello. My name is Iain Campbell McKenna. I'm the Managing Director of Sourcing Solved and the host of a very popular podcast called Procurement in 5 Minutes. We help organizations evaluate and map out the talent for the procurement organization.
Thank you for that. And thirdly, Mr. Ulash, ÖZEN, we know each other for a long time. Thank you for your support for TUSMOD activities. So could you please introduce yourself?
Yeah, sure. My name is Ulaş ÖZEN, and I'm from Turkey, currently located in Germany. I'm responsible as a head of global commodity management for metal parts, for metal business in Bosch and Siemens group. So more or less 19 years experience in the supply chain area.
Okay, thank you for all. So firstly, I want to start with Mr. Bernard GRACIA. Bernard, there is no doubt that EIPM is the right place to reduce the CPO's capability gap for global management. As you know, for that reason, TUSMOD is supporting all EIPM tools and training programs for CPOs as Turkish representative. And we are very proud of to present to Turkish procurement professionals the procurement excellence model as named Be Best. And at the same time, as you know, we are proud to have two procurement organizations from Turkey have been awarded for Peter Karacic Award this year. And my question is how EIPM helps to CPOs to manage global procurement processes and global teams and talents. We're listening.
Thank you very much, Gürkan. So, I prepared something, but I don't know if we are in the format of presentation or in the format of discussion. I think the first point is when perhaps can I share my screen?
Yes, we will be pleasure if you
discuss.
Can start your presentation.
The idea is, I don't think I'm going to present the EIPM because I guess you know EIPM. EIPM is a school, and we're working on education, we're working on research, and working in companies, and we have different programs. So one aspect of the question is, and what you brought basically, it's what's the global CPO. Yeah. And my point is the first thing is global means to be open towards the international, means being capable to exchange in different languages, to understand culture, to get a behavior, to adapt yourself. On the other end, it's also global means getting an overall understanding, getting a good education, not only training. When I say difference between training can be good in purchasing, but not at all open because you don't have any education. So, and here it's important to be global is not only a question of purchasing or procurement, it's a question of mindset, of culture, of education. So getting a good general background. Open means capable to understand and to lead organization. Being capable to be in procurement, but to understand also the other organization, all your stakeholders, all your suppliers. To understand some technical issues, as being capable to understand strategies. So this is some elements of open. And the last point means adaptability, flexibility, agility. And it's about value. The very important point is to be open, you need to be somewhat humble, you need to be transparent, you need this type of competency helping you to understand the other world. And if we're not capable to be agile, meaning being capable to understand the other one, be humble enough, we'll be somehow out of these words. And what I was thinking is the role in a post-pandemic world is we have new way of working. And one key point for procurement is how we're going to work in new role with new distribution, new relation with suppliers. We're going to have this type of, we already have this type of travel limitation. And starting now is we go on raw materials, semiconductors, containers, constraints. So the role today is how can we master all these elements? Plus we have all this evolution in terms of technologies and this international relations. So what I'm just saying here is on one hand, we have to be global, meaning to be open. On the other hand, we're starting a new world, the post-pandemic world, which is what we call a new reality or new normality. And this new normality starts with a lot of difficulties. So what we try to do at the EIPM is on one hand to help the organization and on the other hand to help individuals. So by helping organization, and we help the CPO by understanding the maturity of his organization. And it's important to be capable to benchmark yourself and your organization versus best in class to see if you are at the right level or what is missing in your main elements, such as perhaps people, such as process, such as quality, such as being aligned with the strategy and so on and so forth. So on one hand, and it's not at all a question of procurement. It's really a question of organization, a question of business. Today, what we're raising is procurement is not really a problem for a CPO. I mean, they have a competence in terms of technical competence. The main problem is to understand the business. Because today, the role of CPO is to support the business and is to lead the business, is to be part of the business. It's not only to serve a business, but the role of a CPO is really to understand how to support the business to gain more business. Is being part of the value is really to contribute to increase the value of companies by increasing the market share, by increasing the new business, and so on and so forth. So the main problem of a lot of CPOs is really to understand this business, and it's not to understand how to negotiate or how to make a cost breakdown. So we have to change this kind of translation from being procurement-centric to being business-centric. And it's pretty difficult because not all CPOs have this mindset. So this is the first point. And we help CPOs in doing that by working with our tool, which is the best tool you spoke about, is going to analyze your maturity, not only in terms of procurement, but procurement, business, and so on and so forth. So this one aspect, understanding your business and your organization, understanding what you should do to improve that. So today we have over 300 companies who have been using the tool. We got 50 companies who have been awarded. And now we developed a certification, a 3-year certification for a best-in-class company. So this is one aspect. The second aspect is the CPOs has to be a leader, and he has to lead his team. And to lead his team, the question is, what type of team do you need? And it's very important to understand. And this is what I think it's. We don't need the best people for every seat in procurement. You need to create the best team. And when you look at football team, soccer team, whatsoever, you can get stars in the team, but the overall is a team. And what we realize, if you look at CPO is you have these different quadrants, and we have different roles for each quadrant. So we need one guy being good on strategic, we need one guy being good for leverage, whatsoever is the category in leverage you're buying. So the idea here is, and it's pretty new, is you're not hiring one person for one job, you are one person in function of the team you have to complete the team for the product you're buying. So on one hand, we have the CPOs vis-a-vis the organization. On the other end, we have the CPOs for improving the competencies of people in function of a group in which these people are. And as Iain, we have also a competence assessment helping to identify these different gaps. Okay. So I can elaborate more, but perhaps you may have some more questions later on. Okay, so this is the general idea. So this is for today, where we are today. Now, if we go a bit further on, what the CPO is going to look for tomorrow, it's this is we have been working. We wrote a book on procurement first 5th generation, and it's the pace and power. And we need the power, we need the pace, we need agility, and so on and so forth. And what we have been working on, and what's quite interesting with the research we made with Hervé, is on one hand, you have the speed of change on the supply side, on bottom, and on the side, you have the speed of change in the demand side. So, and what's important is how to mix both. And based on that, you need different profiles. And again, and it's today we very frequently we have to adapt our organization with the people in function of a team. Now we should adapt the profile of people in function of the speed, about the agility of a different market. And you need tactical buyer consolidation and so on and so forth. But basically, what we need is the different profiles in function of where we are in this type of matrix. So, and again, we fight again the idea that we need one profile. Well, what for? And we need to help the CPO sometimes in explaining that it's not the same. You don't need necessarily the best guy. You need the best guy for something in function of the team you have. And it's very important to understand that. So this is the agility we were speaking about. And this is where we're going, in fact. And this is pretty important to see the difference between where we were based on CRACIA and where we go now in function of the speed and agility. And the world is going to be more and more agile. And just this is what just I very quickly present was the idea of the organization and the assessment of the assessment of the organization with the different steps in the organization and the different level of maturity. And then the competence assessment. And it's important to realize if for some elements you are as a support function, and for some elements you're already quite mature, because you're not going to do the same thing as a CPO. Okay, so this is the overall idea we were thinking about in terms of what do we need for the future in terms of organization. And for what we think is quite important in terms of mindset is as a global CPO, if we start from what I said initially, we need open-minded, we need values, we need leadership, we need the general competence to focus on relation, because today relations are key. Stakeholders and business and suppliers. We have less and less suppliers, so the relation with suppliers is changing. And if the values we need is way to support the value. So the change in the profile of the CPOs, because we're changing, if you want, the centricity, the CPOs is not any longer only centered on the procurement aspect. He has to be very business centric. Okay. This is very quickly what I was willing to elaborate for you, Gürkan. Disappeared? I'm alone. So I come back. So the general idea is very evolution in terms of mindset. Evolution. I don't know, Iain, I don't know, Ulash, what you think about, but this evolution in terms of mindset vis-a-vis the business, I think it's very important. It's very being business centric and not anymore procurement centric. It's not only recruiting or one competence for one person, but it's recruiting one competence vis-a-vis a team. And it's in the matrix, it's adapting what you're buying in functional matrix. Ulash, Iain?
Yeah, I fully agree with you, Bernhard, because especially after the pandemic environment, I think worldwide we learned that. And since I'm professional in one of the big company worldwide with different production footprint, we are one of the most affected out of it. So basically what I see is in the procurement agenda, there is not anymore a functional agenda. The agenda should be should consist complete value chain, and therefore this is requiring different leadership style, and also the external factors like you describe is becoming more and more important. So the business is becoming more destructive and so on. Therefore, what we are used to make mechanic purchasing or mechanic procurement, I think this will not work in the future. So that's why we need to change from a leadership point of view as well, from decision making to more sense making patterns, you know. So the sense are very important, how to read the strategic direction and how to, let's say, organize procurement processes, organization with different competencies. And there is no one fits all at the end in this complex environment. So in my current global role, we try to, up to now, we try to make it standard, but what we see it, the standard and one fits all is not a solution, and you need a tailored based approach by different business environment and also by different region and so on. That's why this is requiring really adaptability in the whole organization, coming from leadership to bottom level. And this is requiring different competencies to be developed, and by focusing only in the procurement function, I think this will be not successful direction.
And you have been using a very important word, mechanical procurement. And I think more and more we have to split in between what is mechanic and is going to be digitalized, robot and so on and so forth, compared to what is very business oriented with strategic, where you need people. And a lot of this, not only administrative, but mechanical, I really like this word, is going to be subcontracted to robots, let's say, and it's going to be mechanized because we can do it technically. So, yeah.
Okay. Okay, thank you, Bernhard, for your valuable informations, and Ulash for your comments. So I want to turn you, Iain.
Hi.
Hi, Ian. So we know that digital transformation is going to more and more important for global CPOs. We know that you have some solution about it. And my question to you is, how can the CPO prepare their teams for digital transformation, and what solution do you offer them?
Good question. Just touching on what Bernhard kindly mentioned is the procurement function we're evolving. And if we think about digitalization, most digitalization projects fail because we see them as an IT project and we don't see them as a people project. And what we discovered was that as procurement becomes more and more automated, and we can automate a lot of the tasks that we do, when you strip it right back to the bare bones, what it is, it's about the people. And as Bernard clearly says, there is a place for everyone in procurement. You have your analytical people, you have your strategic people, you have your people who have got great attention to detail when it comes to legal contracts, etc. People who are great at building relationships with suppliers internally and externally. But the biggest issue that many CPOs have is there's no visibility on who are those people. So we set upon ourselves on the first lockdown to develop a tool that focused specifically on the behavioural skills of the team. Because when you look at skills are obviously very important. However, you can have two people with identical skills, but one person is more appropriate to your business than the other. And why is that? Well, that's more behavioural than it is skills. So we developed a procurement behavioural performance assessment, the world's first, as far as I'm aware. And we've got clients in the UK, we've got clients in Switzerland, we've got clients in the US, Central Europe, and it's becoming a very, very popular tool with CPOs. So let me share my screen and hopefully this will work. So here you go. So first of all, we created a tool for individuals. So helping people understand, what are my top 5 strengths? What am I really good at? Where can I shine? Where can I develop the skills that I'm great at? And how do I excel further? But also to understand what areas do I need to improve? So when people take the assessment, this is the outcome for the procurement professional. So we focused on the main areas that we feel are incredibly important for procurement, which are strategic focus, relationship focus, power, which Bernard clearly mentioned as well. And it's that balance of power, personal power, internal power, legal power, and functional, because obviously we have got tasks to do on a day-to-day basis. But also when we're talking about digitalization, it's about change and improvement. We want to evolve, but we need the right people in the business to help us evolve. So we focus on strategic, and what happens is when they finish the assessment, they get a score as a percentage. So how can this person look towards the future? How can they get varied information from different sources? How can they spot trends? And I can click on see more. So I can see, what am I good at? And this is what I need to be mindful of, because obviously the percentage is high. So this is more applicable. I can see where I am with regards to relationships. So understanding, and how do I understand and engage with different stakeholders? How do I prioritize? How do I actively build positive and collaborative relationships with my team, with my stakeholders? And I can see more here. This is what I'm really strong at, but here is where I need to be mindful. Change and improvement, functional, and power. Now for each one of these main titles, we've got subheadings. And as you can see here below, they very much tie in with a subheading. I can see, what are my top 5 strengths? What am I really, really good at? So I can see here that I'm great with regards to my business awareness. I can see, how do I play to my strengths? I'm future orientated. I've got good internal relationships. I've got good external relationships. And I'm quite an analytical person. Now that's great. Now I have an understanding of who I am as an individual, but what are my development points? How can I grow as an individual? So I can see here from a legal power perspective, I need to try and improve because I've not scored within the graph. So how do I develop these areas? And this gives me a good foundation to build on that. I can see personal power. So that's my confidence internally. So if I want to maybe challenge a stakeholder, I might not have that confidence level to be able to do so. External power is obviously how I engage with stakeholders. And as I can see here, that's quite low. Well, it's not in the graph. Transactional and influencing. Now, what's really great is I can also see all the subsections down below, and I can see Asia Pac, I can see UK, but I can take out Asia Pac, I can take out the UK, or I can leave that in, and that gives me a mathematical calculation of everyone who's done the assessment, and I can see on the graph here where I am in comparison to people in Asia Pac and people in the UK, and so on and so forth. We do the US and various other countries. Now, what's very powerful is when the team understand what are my strengths, where do I need to develop, they know where they can improve. So they can sit down with the CPO and say, this is where I would like to learn. And the CPO gets a helicopter view of where is my team. So I can see here's my whole team as far as the map of my team. I can see who's strategic, who are my top relationship people, power, functional, and change and improvement. And straight away, I can see there's a little bit of a strategic gap. I can see who are my top scorers. So who are the top strategic people, top relationship, change, functional, and power. And then I can either decide whether I want to do that across the whole team, or I can break it down into job function. So I can do this for my category managers. And clearly these mathematical statistics will be very different depending if I do it as a group or I do it as a job function. And I can see here down below all the subsections. And then I can look at the whole team and I can see where are my strategic gaps? Does that plug in with my strategy? Do I have the right people in the right roles? And if I want to hire people for my team, I can see where my strategic gaps are. So it gives me a helicopter view of where are my behavioral skills now? How do I move forward? What people will come on the journey with me, as in leading the change project? And what people do I need to invest in training to help them get up to speed? So this is the first out there in the marketplace. And what we can do afterwards is we can sit down with the CPO and say, okay, here's where you are now. Let's develop a plan and develop how do we move from A to Z and what processes do we need to implement. So I hope that's all nice and clear for everyone. And I'm obviously open to questions.
Thank you, Iain, for your live demo. So we are really understanding how digital transformation can help the CPOs to manage their global team effectively. On the other hand, as Bernard mentioned, fifth generation CPO and procurement professionals, we can monitor their maturity levels. How can they climb up step by step for maturity levels to fifth generations? So thank you for that, and I will turn back to you. I want to start with Mr. Ulash. With you, we know that you are in global teams and you have a big experience with global teams. Then you are waking up with Asia and you will close with Mexico and USA, like that.
24 hours, yes.
Yeah. So for that reason, the competences is very important for global CPOs. Like you should be capable for stakeholder management, team management, because you are synchronize the culture, and you have to aware of talents, and talent management is important. Risk management also is very crucial nowadays, especially for pandemic environmental causing from COVID-19. And logistic problems, the transportation cost is increasing, and we have to think the landed cost and total cost of ownership, of course. And finally, I think that big data management will be important for global CPOs as well, because when I turn back to my data in my company, in 6 months, I saw around 10 million record just for procurement and supply chains. It's clear that it's impossible to manage this situation with an old-fashioned way. And the CPOs, global CPOs, can improve their key competences. My question is for you. What is the key competences for a global CPO? What do you think about it, please?
Yeah, thank you for that question. Actually, I think CPO is one of the challenging role in the future, because you are a part of value, but you are influencing complete value chain at the end. And as you described, you are connected with different, let's say, business environment, with different market and so on. Therefore, as already described by the colleagues as well at the beginning, this adaptability is one of the key topic as a competence, especially with starting with the leadership. So change management, transformation, adaptability. This is one of the core value for procurement professionals. And I see diversity is becoming more and more important because by having the diversity, you can create different solution for different environment. And diversity means in the way of how you do the things, and how, different culture, different way of working, and so on. So that's why I call it today's one fits all will not work in the future. So there is no one fits all. We need a tailored approach by diversified team, by diversified opinion, and adaptability in the organization. And plus, I think agility is becoming more crucial topic. We have, I think, to reach the data is becoming more and more, let's say, easier comparing past. But the thing is how to read the data and how to make sense-making patterns out of it. I think this is the more crucial one, because we will be living more uncertain and VUCA environment in the future more and more, and the external factors will be more critical. Therefore, there will be not time like in the past, everything is clear, then we should decide to be based on 80-20 rule. I think this period is will be limited in the future. Therefore, we need really procurement leaders, let's say, making decision with their sense and future orientation, and with business orientation. And this is, of course, challenging them to go beyond their function, because this is, of course, another learning from the crisis that we have. If you just decide on the, let's say, from a procurement core KPIs, then I think the complete value chain you will lose. That's why you need leaders to deploy as well this entrepreneurship to the organization. That's very important, because it's not only in the high level, it should go to the bottom line, because at the end operation is done in the bottom line. So that's why you need leaders making these changes and transformation within the complete team. And you touched the risk management. I think risk management I see not only from a supply point of view, also complete enterprise risk management. So for the corporate overall, I think procurement is playing a big impact on that as well. Up to now, in the classical way, we were focusing on more supply chain risk management, but you see now with different external factors affecting our business, and our S&OP cycles becoming smaller and so on, cycles are becoming shorter. Therefore, I believe this entrepreneur risk management is becoming a key role for procurement as well. Therefore, I think those skills we need to develop further, and I believe especially when it comes to the future CPO role, this will be the expectation, and this is not only CPO, as I said, this should be deployed to whole organization. And all the colleagues already highlighted stakeholder management. This you cannot do only with procurement function at the end. You need to synchronize this mindset, this approach with your stakeholders, because otherwise it is again a functional initiative, so initiation, so it will not be successful. So you need to deploy it within the network organization, and combine it with the stakeholders from other departments that you work in the same agenda. So with the same mindset. These are the things I think very key success factors for the future for creating further value for the companies.
Okay, thank you for your valuable information. Also, I have taken notes for 9, 10 key points, key competencies for global CPO. Thanks for that. Also, you have mentioned about KPI for global CPO. If we check some research and surveys for CPO, we saw that the top CPO is related for cost, of course, cost savings, cost avoidance. But as you mentioned, diversity and sustainability is coming. Risk management also is very important about it. And we have to manage stakeholders like suppliers and internal customers. Of course, we have to think more and more customer expectation as well. For example, when I start a procurement organization, first I check the customer expectations. So for that reason, why? Because we have to manage our suppliers based on customer focused. The procurement team, you are right, is not only procurement now. We have to think customers, all organizations, of course, together with suppliers, and we have to think all supply chains and the total cost of ownerships. And my second question to Ulash about the KPIs. As a global CPO, what should be important for you for KPI management?
I think usual KPIs are valid, of course. Costs, at the end of the day, maybe we don't call it costs. It's more than costs to create value to the EBIT, to the company revenue, and as well as EBIT. I think this is one of the core KPI will stay, and risk mitigation measures, of course, to detail it a little bit, not only keeping it in the supply level, also make it more broader with volatility in the demand and so on, flexibility, time to market, all these things I think will be in the future much more important. And compliance, sustainability for sure. This is the elementary topic. Sustainability I think will be more important as well, like CO2, environment. This will be in the agenda of the CPOs. Innovation for sure. This is exactly the point. If you are working with in the same agenda with let's say stakeholders, and these are the main KPIs I believe will stay, and the KPI set will be more enriched from procurement to more company level, like EBIT, turnover, and so on, risk mitigations and so on.
Okay, thank you for your information. So it's clear that for the global CEO wants to, they have three key KPI is EBIT, as you mentioned, free cash flow, like that, and they want to zero risk when they are growing up. So for that reason, we are CPO, we are supporting our CEO to be #1 companies. Thanks for that. And my last question to Ulaş, what should be on the CPO's agenda for the next second half of 2021? And what do you think about the priorities of CPOs for 2022 for next year? I mean, please.
Yeah, I think I don't see big deviations between 2021 and 2022, but to be honest,
Yes, sure.
I think for the CPOs overall, we need to be more, let's say, adjust ourselves, transform our organization processes, competencies to the new world, to the new trends. I think this will be one of the hit topic in the agenda of CPOs, more agile procurement and diversified procurement, and let's say stakeholder management. And I believe also the risk management is a key topic. It was also a key topic in the past, but it will be much more important in the future. And how to balance, EBIT effective versus risk. So this is at the end of the day, there is no one solution. Otherwise, it will be easier for all of us. Yeah. So I can buy it if there is one solution for that. So, but I think day by day, the CPOs will be pushed to make a decision on without data, even under the uncertain environment, and how to prepare the organization with the right tools, with the right competencies, and with the right diversified ways to let's say, to respond these changes under this complex and VUCA environment. I think this is the most important thing in the future in the CPO's agenda. And of course, the trends like digitalization, and these are this is for sure. So these are given. So this is a survival element for the companies. So we need to follow that, and also plus to see the big picture, not only from a supply point of view, to see overall big picture, and being more consumer centric, and being more, I would say, partner centric at the end as a consequence. These are the core values, and these are the agendas in the CPOs to transform the organization to ready for this complex and uncertain environment, I would say.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Ulaş. So I want to turn Iain. Iain, the same question for you. What should be on the CPO's agenda for the next second half of this year, and what do you think about the priorities for next years?
Just like Ulaş said, I don't see much of a change between this year and next year. But again, I completely agree with Ulaş that I think sustainability is a hot topic right now. I also believe about the ethical supply chain, which is, becoming a very hot topic. If you look at certain companies, there's slavery in the supply chain as well, which a lot of organizations are looking at. There's a big car manufacturer in Sweden who are doing a deep dive way beyond tier 3 suppliers, and they're going down to sort of tier 5, tier 6 suppliers, and they're looking into their supply chain. I also agree about innovation, but I think the biggest problem that the CPO will have is if we are purely focused on cost, how likely will our suppliers be to help us innovate if all we seem to be doing is banging them over the head, with a bat to get the lowest possible price. So I think one thing that will be definitely a hot topic for them will be about value, and value is not just about price, and innovation definitely comes in within that value. So I hopefully we'll start to see a seismic shift. But I also think a lot of CPOs are still dealing with the new norm, where teams are remote, teams are disbanded. But I do, and I am starting to see that a lot of CPOs now are open the floodgates to having procurement professionals dotted across the globe. And they're even setting up virtual water coolers that they can talk about new strategies and new ways of working. So I think the virtual world will go to the next level from a CPO perspective.
Okay, thank you, Iain, for your valuable information. And Bernard, finally with you. So it's clear that today we all global CPO must go beyond of cost-oriented. We know that also we are monitoring EIPM tools to help us to be a global CPO and to improve ourselves from the cost management to fifth generations. So one of the similar question for you, and what should be on the CPO agenda for this year's, and what do you think about priorities of CPO for next year's? And additional question to you, Bernard, what is your final suggestion to global CPOs? Thank you.
Bernard, you are in mute. Yeah.
You could be mute. So
Now,
sorry,
okay.
I was on mute. I thought that the technical person mute me because the Wi-Fi was willing to speak during. Sorry for that. Just to come back to what I've been saying is I really think that the role of procurement is not any longer to be only procurement centric, but much more business centric. If we accept that, I think that first, speaking about KPI, we can still measure cost, we can measure quality or what we want to measure. But I think what we should be capable to measure is how procurement helps in gaining new market, new business, or maintaining business. Basically, when we have shortage, it's not a question, we have shortage of raw material, it's not a question of decreasing the price, it's not a question, the early question is to maintain the business and to help our business to be maintained, thanks to what the relation we may have developed with suppliers to get some raw material. So I think one key element in terms of measurement is during shortage period, how can we measure the fact that due to a good relation with suppliers, we have a good relation with suppliers, so the supplier is delivering us instead of delivering the competitor, and thanks to that, we're going to get business and we're going to develop our business. And we can speak about price, we can speak about value, we can speak about, at the end is getting business and is developing the business. So I think we have been working on and we're working on it, but I really think that the first element is we're being capable to see what is we spoke about value, what is the value of procurement in developing the business, how we can measure the impact of procurement in getting new business or maintaining new business if some problem. So this is the first point on KPI. The second point is concerning what be the 221 and 22 and 25 and 35 and 50 0 and so on and so forth. So the role of CPOs for this year, you know, we in a pandemic, post-pandemic, re-pandemic, I don't know exactly where we are, but I would say in a mess. And,
sure.
and just to be polite. And in fact, when you look at pandemic, the first role of procurement has been to restore continuity, to maintaining business continuity. We were in the middle of nowhere, and the first idea was to maintain this business continuity, meaning we had to find masks, we had to find bags, we had to find a computer for the ones who had to go and work from home. So this was the first step. The second step has been recovering performance. And I think since more or less September, we work on recovering performance. And I think we go at least till summer, and we're going to start the third step, which is regaining advantage. And what I want to say here is you have some companies who are going to dive, you have some companies who are going to jump. As for any crisis, you're going to have winners and losers. And it's better to be in the in the first one. So and the role of procurement is really to regain advantage by getting the relation. And we have been making a survey and research on. It's quite interesting to realize that the ones who are the first in regaining advantages are the ones who have been developing strong relations with suppliers before crisis. Okay, there is no doubt on that. So it's not a question, and I come back on Iain and Ulash, is I totally agree, cost is one key element, but the relation with supplier we're developing for obtaining first this cost, for obtaining the value, for obtaining, it is the driver of regaining advantage to move. So we know that during this crisis, a lot of people are going to disappear. Some companies are going to disappear. Newcomers are going to appear, and some companies are going to become stronger. And the role, starting, I guess, now more or less, the role of procurement is really to help the business to regain advantage. And we spoke already about digitalization. We spoke about risk. We're speaking about sustainability, innovation, and I think also we have to speak about carbon tax, in which procurement has a quite important role. So it's somehow a question of design to cost, a question of TCO whatsoever, but we don't have to forget these elements where procurement has a role to play. So somehow 21, end of 21 is a follow-up of 20, is some change because we're going to move from recovering performance to regain advantage to go, and 22 I think is where we're going to lead again the business. This period also is a great period for innovation. You know that when we have pain point, lead innovation. I mean, if we don't have any problems, we're not going to change anything because it's fine. So each time you have some difficulties, we're going to try to find some solutions. And when we have a difficulties, which is a pain point, we have to change and that's support and help to develop innovation. So we know that during this month, it's a great period for finding new suppliers who are innovating a lot, and you have a lot of startups innovating a lot. And this led me to another point: is the role of procurement is somehow in finding this innovation is not to deal with these startups as we're dealing with big companies, because we're not going to select the guys in the same way. So this is I go back to, it's not anymore only procurement centric, it's business centric, it's product centric, and to change the mindset. So I would say perhaps one key point maybe perhaps to change the way we're recruiting CPOs. I've been speaking a lot about that. It's kind of generation of you start working in procurement and you go on. And I'm working a lot with some companies where the CPOs is wrapping from another business and he drops in as for leading procurement. And he's not so bad. I mean, he understands because he's smart, he understands pretty well the business. And it's just, you need just a kind of tools box to be understood by the buyers and procurement people. But at the end, it's business. So I'm insisting perhaps a lot on that, but I really think that one of the key solutions for me is that procurement become much more businessmen than just procurement guy. Okay, so if you put sales guys in procurement, I think a lot of things are going to change. First, the communication is going to change, and a lot of things are going to change. And you just ask your CEO is coming one night in Istanbul, and he has just one evening to spend with you. And his main dilemma is, should he see the procurement people or should he see the marketing and sales guys? Who is going to see? He has only one evening, 2 hours to spend, and to have a dinner and some drinks. Yeah. He's going to see the marketing and sales guy. Why? Because they are more fun. And we're going to say some stories, blah, 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 blah. So it's just perhaps changing the mindset of procurement people to try not speaking only about the bad problems, the difficulties, the lack of people, the not enough money, blah, 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 what we know how to speak about, and to speak more about the business we are successful in. Sorry, man, I'm a bit passionate.
It's a good point, Bernard. So thank you, Bernard, for your comments and good points and also declare to CPOs, procurement professionals. So Iain, what is your last words to procurement professionals today? Do you have?
There we go. I've unmuted myself. I think always keep innovating, always keep building relationships, always try to build the profile of procurement internally and externally. and build is real good sustainable relationships, and constantly researching the market, reading about new products out there, new solutions out there. Consume as much information as possible, because I think that we do have a tendency of getting trapped in their own little bubble, and we kind of ignore the world outside. And take as much training as you can. I actually know procurement organisations who send their procurement professionals on sales courses, like Bernard said, and send them on neuro-linguistic programming courses, which I think is amazing, and sending them on sales courses. So take as much as you possibly can and just consume as much information as possible.
Thank you, Iain. And Ulash, what is your best words?
Yeah, I think what we discussed so far, all as a summary, I think the world will not change. We will be working in the, let's say, volatile environment and uncertainty. Yeah. Therefore, my recommendation to all people, be ready for that, a part of change. And like mentioned, be businessman, business-centric, try to understand the total picture, and focus on create value for the complete entire company.
Thank you for that. Thanks for your valuable information, all speakers, and thank you for your participants. Today we saw that it has to widen their visions, not only with procurement, sales, like business, as Bernard says. We have to follow the technology and digital transformation on procurement. And in Turkey, we will be together with EIPM, and we will believe that EIPM tools will help us for the futures as well. And we have to be fifth generation procurement professionals. Also, Iain, your demo is really interesting about to manage the teams. Thank you for your data. And finally, my last speech is follow us. I really want to meet with you next year in Istanbul, Turkey, face to face. That's all from my side now today. Thank you for all.